And here we go. Tuesdays with Schwartz. So, you want the big introduction? Here we go with the big introduction. Hello, Leaf Nation. So, today's show, we're going to do it real quick because I don't want to bore you. First, I want to say thank you to all of my followers. I am this close to 300. I started this basically channel and everything back at the beginning of November. So we are not even at the end of December yet, and we're almost at 300 followers. So I want to thank you so very much. So the first thing that we're going to do today on this show is talk about the 22nd century curriculum. I know you've seen all my posts. You've seen all the questions. What exactly is a 22nd century curriculum? What is a 19th century curriculum? What are we talking about? What are standardized tests? Why do we use them? Are they valuable? Are they not valuable? Who knows? Okay, so I'm part of, or I've been invited to be a part of, the Teachers for Good Trouble movement. I support the movement. I believe that we should not be doing testing during a pandemic. It is a waste of money. It is a waste of time. And we just don't get the results that we're really looking for. What do we want as American citizens? What do the public, we the people, what do we want from our educational system? Well, we want one simple thing. We want our kids to be prepared for life. That's it. Now, we can specify that a little bit more to say we want our kids to be prepared for their future, because the future is not today. Now, I know that makes a lot of sense when we're thinking about it, but we immediately get off track when we start talking about testing, because we're led to believe, and I want to say that clearly, we're led to believe that testing gives us the results we want, but it doesn't. And here's why. All that standardized tests do is test what kids know. Now, you would want and think like, yeah, well, I want my kids to know more. But here's the problem. The only way they will know more in a testing society is to increase their memory. Now, you look at your own job. Look at you as a parent. Can you remember everything? No, you can't. Why? Because as you get older, it gets harder and harder to remember everything. So why do we want to set our kids up for failure in life when we recognize as adults that memory is not that important? When you have a smartphone in your hand, memory is not important. Do you need to know anything? No, you need to know how to look it up. So what do kids really need to know? They need to know how to look things up. Now, when they take the test, are they allowed to look things up? No. So all that you're really doing is saying, hey kid, can you remember everything from September? And most kids, again, the vast majority, cannot. Now, does that mean they're not prepared for life? No. And here's why. So here's the difference between a 22nd century curriculum, which I and the Education Development Institute are building for the future for your kids right now. So here are the 5 things that a 22nd century curriculum does. Number 1, collaborative learning. What is learning? Learning is being able to use information. Use, not apply, use. Because we don't know what we're going to need to know. We don't know how we're going to need to know it. We just don't know. The future is uncertain. So what we need to do as educators and the education system is help kids be ready for the uncertainty of the future. So collaborative learning allows kids to navigate and figure out, I don't have good memory skills, but that kid sitting over there remembers everything. In fact, they have a photographic memory. So let's let them read everything. Here you go. You read it and remember it. Your kid, maybe they're really good at talking. So if there's a presentation, so you have the one kid who memorizes everything, and you have the one kid who talks everything. Let's put it in context, reality. Everybody knows Apple, right? Apple. I have an iPhone. Apple, the biggest company in the world. Okay? Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak teamed up together. And what did they do? They created a company. Now, could Steve Wozniak sell anything? No. Could Steve Jobs build a computer? No. Here we go. So if you had Steve Jobs take the standardized test and you had Steve Wozniak take the standardized test, they would get different scores. It doesn't matter though. The test didn't matter. If they took the test, it wouldn't matter. Steve Jobs dropped out of college. Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of college. Bill Gates dropped out of college. So do we really need what education is doing now? No. Do we need an education? Yes, but we need a 22nd century education. Step 2, or core 2, is quick decision making. If you have not read the book from Malcolm Gladwell, Blink, I suggest you do it now. Okay? I will, when this goes on to YouTube, because I can't do links on Instagram, when this goes live on YouTube, I will put the link in the description to get the book Blink. You should read it. It's all about decision making. We do not prepare students to make decisions. That is a critical skill. Critical. It's more important than memory. It's more important than looking things up. It is one of the biggest things that kids need. And it's actually what you need right now, living in a pandemic. How do I make the best decision for me and my family going forward? If you had expert decision-making skills, you would not be as worried right now that you are right now. Because you would be able to say, wait a minute, I want to get here. These are the decisions I need to make to get me there. One thing that I know how to do better than most people is I know how to create a strategy and go from point A to point B. Now, I'm not very good at making money for myself in this whole thing. I'm not. I am an educator. In fact, I am a public servant. I've been doing public service my whole life. Even when I was a reporter for the Star-Ledger. That's not really making money. Like, I am doing a public service. Journalists, freedom of the press, we're there to help democracy. We're helped to protect citizens against evil and corruption in government and bad information. We're getting bad information. So that's 2, decision making. Let's go to number 3. That is multi-communication skills. And if you're wondering, I'm reading notes. Okay? Multi-communication skills. Because one thing that you do not need to know is how to memorize. Use notes. Do you care that I have this memorized? No. All you want is the information. You don't care about certain things. We need to stop caring about how things look. Who cares? All we care about is, are we making a better life for us and our family and for our neighbors, or are we making it worse? We are making life worse. So, multi-communication skills, what does that mean? That means being able to write, being able to speak, and being able to communicate ideas. Now, in the 22nd century, that's going to be a whole different ballgame. The 19th century, which is the century that we're right now educating kids on, had very few ways to communicate. In the 19th century, so I was born in the 70s, okay? So I am a Gen Xer. Me growing up, there was no communication ability. I could not. If I had a great idea, guess what? I'm out of luck. So my ideas can't go anywhere. But now with social media And I literally am a broadcaster. And again, I studied media and journalism in school. So I am fully prepared for this 21st, 22nd century world. I know how to be a broadcaster. I know how to communicate ideas to you. The thing that we're going to be doing through this channel is I want to hear from you. What do you want to know? What can I teach you? Because that's all that I know how to do, is to get a question and then research the answer and then teach you about the answer. That's it. That's the exchange. That's the relationship that I love. You have a question and I can give you the answer. Now, I may not know the answer. Remember, we talked about knowing things, but I can look it up and I can research and I can learn it and then transfer the information to you. So multi-communication skills is what I'm doing right now. Can your kid do that? Can your kid take information, understand it, analyze it, and then transfer it to an audience of people? If they can't, they have a problem going into the 22nd century. That's what we need our schools to teach. Number 4, master creative skills. Okay, so this one is huge. Right now, the biggest problem with the 19th century curriculum, and you know this because you went to school, is the minute you walk into class, the minute you want to express your ideas, the teacher says, stop, be quiet, do the work. Teachers, not purposely, please, do not blame teachers. If there's one message I need everyone in this channel, okay? I have 300 followers right now. I need 300 people to agree with this one thing. Don't blame the teacher. The system forces teachers to do this. So we blame the messenger, but we shouldn't. We need to fix the curriculum and then teachers will be able to do what they need to do. Right now, teachers are forced to tell kids to sit down and shut up. We are teaching followers. Now, I'm asking for followers, but that's a different thing. I'm not teaching you how to be my follower. I want you, if you resonate, if what I'm saying makes sense to you, follow me, because I'm just going to keep talking about the same thing. Now, I would like to be able to get from you the feedback so that you can start pushing me in the path that you want. I will talk about whatever it is that you want, but that's a difference. That's called being open and listening to your ideas. I am a creator. And so I have a business, so there's a 20-second business strategy that I have. That's in the other side of the consulting firm. And all of that is about how you divide workers into 2 groups. You have your creators and you have your grinders. The creators create ideas. They're the ones that create the new products and services and all the things that we have in America. So here's a perfect example. Let's go back to the Apple example. Steve Jobs was a creator and Steve Wozniak was a grinder. They're both necessary and they're both amazing. It's not a label to make you worse. It's a label to understand your place. How can you make an impact in life? So think about yourself. Are you a creator, somebody who has ideas and wants to build things to make the world a better place? Or are you a grinder who's like, I'm looking for the great idea and I will get it done? So I'm looking for grinders. If you know a grinder, if you know somebody who just loves to do good work, have them follow me and contact me, DM me. I am building a community for educators by educators. I need grinders because we have to build this out. I am a creator. I have more ideas than anyone you have ever met. We haven't even touched the surface of the amount of ideas that I have. Not even the surface. Like, I have put out already, I think, 4 big ideas, things that would take most people an entire lifetime to do, and I already have put out 4 in less than a month, and we haven't even touched the surface. My biggest challenge and my biggest obstacle is finding enough grinders to help me make it real. For you. Everything that I'm doing is for you. Now, the mission is to save 1 million teachers. That's the mission. How do we do that? Well, one is we have to free teachers up. We have to give them freedom to teach. When I ran my program, that was exactly the promise I made every single teacher. I said, if you want to teach pure teaching, you come and you get a roster of kids and you have to educate them. If that's what you love to do, then this is the greatest school you will ever work at. Because I'm not going to deal with politics. I'm not going to deal with complaining. I'm not going to deal with anything other than pure teaching. And so there was a waiting list. I used to get resumes, like stacked resumes from teachers from every single public school in New Jersey, as well as private schools. We're talking some of the best private schools. They would want to work at my school with kids who failed every other school they've ever been to. We're not talking about, I didn't have honors and AP students. I had students who were having difficulty reading, but teachers wanted to come because I was offering pure teaching, the love, the passion of education. You got into this for one reason and one reason only, to help kids learn. That's all that I'm going to do. I'm freeing up the system to allow teachers to do what they love. That's it. Let's go to number 5. Developing. So here, all right. So this one is big. So I'm going to do it slow. Okay. So number 5, developing an understanding of this concept, the pursuit of happiness. Okay. Now you've all heard of that. What is the pursuit of happiness? No, it's not a movie. It is a movie, but it's not a movie. Okay. It is from the Declaration of Independence, one of the greatest documents ever written in the history of humankind. Why? Because it set up this government that we have. It set up this society we have, that although we are at a struggle, we are at a crossroads right now in a struggle to allow people to be free, we are still 4,000,000% freer than any other nation on this planet. And there is jealousy running through every other government and nation on earth. When they say we hate America, they don't really mean that. What they mean is, why do they get to be free and I don't? What we need to do is we need to get our house in order. We need to stop complaining. We need to stop fighting each other. Democrats, shut up. Shut up. No one cares. You need to fight and protect Republican rights. And Republicans, shut up. Shut up. Yes, there are some stupid Democrats on that side. Absolutely. But the problem is not Democrats. The problem is that we as a society have lost our own freedom. We need to protect people against illegitimate laws, unjust, racist, horrible. My family is an immigrant family. Okay, I'm a second-generation American. Okay, my family escaped pogroms in Russia. What are pogroms, if you want to ask? That is state-sponsored murder and persecution. State-sponsored. Okay, it was illegal to be Jewish in Russia. Now, we could go jump forward to World War II. It was illegal to be Jewish in Germany. Illegal. You're born and you're already breaking the law. That is basically, in many parts of this country, exactly how African American males are treated as illegal aliens. Stop. Again, Republicans, Democrats, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. There's nothing else to understand other than our laws need to be free. We need to have a system in which every single person is treated fairly and equally. And we're never going to get there with stupid programs and campaigns like defund the police. Like, give me a freaking break. We keep blaming the messengers. Stop. The police officers are not the problem. We have lawmakers in this country who keep deflecting. Oh, it's these people and these people. Guess what? Let's turn the mirror on them. They're the ones that created the law. They're the ones that should fix the law. You want to really talk about the people who are in charge? Okay, we now have, it's going to be soon because they just announced it. So it's now official. The election is finally over. We now have the first female and African-American vice president. Guess what? She locked up hundreds of thousands of young black men. She did. No one else. Don't blame anybody. So you want to change the law? Go to the vice president and say, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because you locked up all of our kids. Don't look at me because I'm not an attorney. I'm an educator. I was stuck in the middle of it dealing with kids who were arrested for nothing because of the color of their skin. And then I was told that I can't educate them. There's nothing you could do. You can't change them. You can't help them. Guess what? I proved them all wrong. Because you know what? There is no difference between colors of skin. There is no difference. Now, I get it. So there are systems, all these systems in place. And so Teachers for Good Trouble trying to get rid of the system because it's racist. I'm just saying, get rid of the system because it's stupid. Forget about the racism. It's stupid. It's old. It's obsolete. I want to look at the future. 22nd century is not about racism. 22nd century is about equal opportunity. And the only way we're getting there is if everybody just gets on board and stops complaining and starts doing. We need to fix this country, and we could do it in 1 year, not 4 years, because everything else takes forever. Forever. It is time to just get on board. Okay, pursuit of happiness. Did that make sense? If not, DM me. I will have a conversation with you in person. Sorry for my impassioned speech. I do get upset. I do get very upset. I want to make sure that everybody, because I don't know if elected officials are watching this at this point. I have conversations with them privately, and I will say this, that I know who they are. They're good people. They don't intend to make the mistakes that they do. But everybody in this country has a problem. We have a collective problem. We've all been educated in the 19th century. So when we look at problems that we have today in 2020, there's no way to do anything because no one has any idea of the future. So they're looking at problems from the past. We have to get over that. The way you think is outdated. And that's the biggest hurdle that I have and some of these movements have for social justice and for Teachers for Good Trouble. You're fighting an uphill battle because everyone you're talking to thinks the old way. And not even the 21st century. We're talking 19th century. I was on a conversation with a whole lot of educators, and all I heard for an hour was just me. And I'm telling you, everybody, the minute you start thinking about yourself, the minute you put yourself in the baby boomer category. So if that's what you want to be a boomer? Be a boomer. It's all about you. No, don't care about nobody else. And you can't say that you care about other people when all you think about is your own needs. You can't say you care about other people when all you care about is your own needs. Now, I'm not talking about teachers who are afraid of retaliation. I'm not talking about that. But that's my point. Teachers, you're afraid of retaliation because that's a real thing. Where's freedom? Where is the freedom? If you are going to be retaliated against for trying to make the school system better, how is that living free? Now, teachers, especially in my state, you're all Democrats. So where's the Democratic leadership? Where are all the Democrats saying, no, we want our schools to be free? They're nowhere to be found. You know why? Because they don't care about you. Your union leadership doesn't understand. It's not that they hate your guts. They are old and outdated. Now, if you know, so I have an idea to work with the New Jersey NEA, so NJEA. If you know a representative at the top level of NJEA, I have a way to free New Jersey's schools while strengthening the union, getting better benefits for teachers, and making our schools better. I just need to talk to them. That's it. I tried to do it with the legislature. I failed. Unless the union is on board, the lawmakers in New Jersey will not do anything. That's reality. I'm telling you right now, I had a meeting with legislators. This is already 2017. I've been trying for several years to free schools. They won't do anything unless union leadership, unless the NJEA endorses it and says this is what we need to do. So what I'm saying is if you know somebody at the top of NJEA, get them in contact with me because I have a way to, again, strengthen the union, get better benefits for the teachers, and free our schools. Isn't that what we want? And the New Jersey legislature will go right along with it because who will argue with that? But without NJEA support, I can't get anything done. So let's go to the community for educators by educators. So it's a little reference, hopefully, to Damon John of FUBU, for you, by you. So this is a community for educators by educators. Now, what does that mean? So I have my own personal knowledge and expertise basis, okay, background. If you want to learn about how to work with kids who have behavioral problems or behavior management in your class, or how to structure your class better, that means from lesson planning on down to order, structure, pacing, anything having to do with the learning process and human behavior and motivation, I am an expert, okay? I also know positive behavior intervention support backwards and forwards. So if you need to know that, I also know that. I also know about how to keep everyone safe, both physically and emotionally. There's a program that I used in my school for physical safety for teachers and for kids, and we had no serious injuries. We had fights because I had K to 12. So in my high school, we had fights, just like every high school in North America. You have middle school, high school, you have fights every single day. Now, you may not have as many now because if you're in virtual, there's no fights. There's no fights if you're in virtual. So my point is that's where my basis comes in. Now, I'm talking to social workers who want to do more self-care, teacher self-care, but we need real teacher self-care. I even saw that was great. There's a certified personal trainer who's doing a full teacher self-care program, trying to work with her. Hopefully we can get her involved as well. But we can stack up all of these modules so that when you come in to this new community, you get something of value. Imagine if you didn't need to go to college for extra credits. Like, you know how you have on the salary guide that you have your bachelor's to get your certification. but then you have to go back and pay thousands and thousands of dollars just to try to get a little bump on the salary guide. Not only is it a lot of time, it's a lot of money, and half the time the classes you're taking are completely useless. What if you didn't have to spend any of that money? What if you could get exactly the continuing ed that you needed, that you wanted, and it was right there in a community? Fully customizable, you could just pick and choose every year, this is what I want to learn about. Now, in New Jersey, we are mandated for 20 hours of professional development per year. What if you could choose the 20 hours that you wanted to do when you wanted to do it? And if your school gave you the opportunity to say, hey, look, we're going to give a professional development afternoon. So there's 3 hours that you can do whatever you want with it. And you could go into the community and watch 3 hours of customizable professional development. Isn't that way more valuable for you? Because it's stuff that you want. You can then implement into class. And then with your principal and your supervisor, who, if we can get what schools need to be, they're on your side, because principal's job should be to help the teacher advance their career. Imagine if the principal and the supervisor became your coach. They're not your supervisor in the disciplinary sense. They're your supervisor in the sense that they're there to help you advance your career. You need to become a better teacher. So one of the things that I did, again, my whole program was designed this way. I ran this for 10 years, and so it's proven. It's proven. It's proven so much that every year, every single North Jersey district, we're talking over 200 school districts, tried to poach my staff because I could turn a novice teacher into a highly effective teacher in 2 years. 2 years. So you go from not knowing anything about education to being a highly effective teacher, highly effective in teaching kids and helping them in their future. The problem that I had was that the curriculum I was using was still the old curriculum. If I had a 22nd century curriculum with my training program and my coaching program and my career development program and all of the other stuff, oh my God, my kids would have no limits. Here's a story. I'm going to leave you with this. So one of my students came to my program in the 9th grade. He was severely learning disabled. Okay? He had failed all of his classes. So he came in the middle of the 9th grade. So he'd already failed 2 semesters worth of classes. Public school was like, okay, here you go. You try to figure it out. So because he'd already failed freshman year, I said to him and to his family and to the district, I said, well, freshman year, he's not going to be able to get any credits this year, but we're not going to waste the time. Let's build up the foundation the rest of this half year, and let's get into, so he'll basically be here for 4.5 years, okay? So he'll finish the first half, the second half of the year, and then he'll have a 4-year, and he'll graduate at that point. And he did. Now, we didn't just teach the test stuff. Who cares about the test stuff? Legitimately, who cares? We got him to graduation. He had all his credits, and his GPA was actually a little bit above 2. And again, severely learning disabled. And this is, again, GPA based on 19th century crap, not 22nd century. Again, understand that any of the metrics do not matter. I can tell you he had a 3.0 grade point. It doesn't matter. When you're learning 19th century stuff, it doesn't matter. It's all obsolete. Everything we're measuring is obsolete. It doesn't matter. I put out a post. If you got a 100% on your standardized test, you know what that tells you? You are 100% prepared for the 19th century. Guess what? We're in 2020, so it doesn't matter. You could get a perfect score on your SATs. You could get a perfect score on standardized tests, and it only says you're 100% prepared for the 19th century when we live in 2020. So when you're measuring and you're comparing scores, who cares? It's like telling me that you think that Babe Ruth is better than Aaron Judge. I don't care. They can't play against each other. It's an argument. No one wins. It's just an argument. So let's stop having the argument. It's pointless. So let's get back to the student story. So he graduated. Now my job, because again, I need to just prepare them for the next stage in life. And hopefully with an education behind them, they will be ready for whatever comes their way. Okay? Uncertainty of future. So we got him enrolled in an auto mechanic program. That's what he wanted to do. That was his passion. That was his pursuit of happiness. Remember that? Remember we talked about that. So in order to make himself happy, he wanted to work on cars. So we got him enrolled in an auto mechanic program. He graduated around 1920, okay? Because again, he had to stay back a year. He came back at the age of 23, and he came to me with a PowerPoint presentation that he wanted to give to a board of ed that was local to us. And what he wanted to do was pitch his business idea. Now, he'd already been running his business, but he had a few clients. Now, let me tell you what his business was. Automobile change. All right, let me explain. So he would have somebody text him, he would show up, and then he would change their oil on location. You didn't have to go anywhere. So his idea, his pitch, his PowerPoint presentation was to a board of ed to say, am I allowed to legally go on to the teacher parking lot to do oil changes in the teacher parking lot? By getting that permission, he then had the entire district's personnel able to get oil changes during the day, which teachers understand you can't leave the building. So when are you getting oil changes? So he was able to, and I helped him with the presentation, just make it just a little bit more crystal, but he did a fabulous job because he got approved. And when he got approved, he opened up his business to tons of clients. And they all loved it because they were like, we can get an oil change and we don't have to leave the school. That's awesome. I wake up in the morning, I drive my car to school, I text him, pay for it electronically, and when I leave, my car already has its oil changed. Done. And he reaped all the benefits. Now, how did he, a severely disabled kid, at the age of 23, do all of that? Because I gave him a 22nd century understanding of the world. If he did not go to my school, he would not have a business. If he did not go to my school, he would either have dropped out of high school, he would have been locked up because he was African American, or he'd be working at an auto shop making about $19 an hour. Now that sounds great, but it wasn't his pursuit of happiness. What he wanted was to be his own boss. And at the age of 23, I don't know how much more I can get that across to you. At the age of 23, he was able to pursue his dream because he knew what he wanted. Now, in comparison, I'm a really smart guy. In fact, I'm fortunate. My brain processes information probably 3 times as fast as most people. It's just who I am. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is if you utilize my brain to help you solve your problems. That's it. If I can't help you solve your problems with my brain, then my brain is a waste. But I, at 23, could never have done what he did. No way. Especially with the education I had. Remember, I got taught in the 19th century curriculum. So all I knew was how to study and do well on tests. And I didn't even get straight A's, so I wasn't even doing that well on tests. So what was I capable of doing? Now, obviously now, 20 years later, I understand oh, you know what? I was capable of doing way more than school ever showed me. Because school is designed to create followers, not leaders. School is designed to create people who shut up, not speak up. And school is designed to destroy your spirit, not elevate and inspire it. And that's the problem with schools. And you can bring in all of these motivational speakers. You can try, and again, I love Jeremy Anderson. In fact, I couldn't have been more excited when I saw Jeremy Anderson on the virtual summit for teachers, because I have been following his career for 5 years. He started 10 years ago, but he came on my radar 5 years ago. And I have been watching him ever since, and I cannot begin to tell you how unbelievable that guy is. But even he can't help schools. Because yes, he helps motivate and inspire for that day, maybe for that week. But then once he's gone, the system just crushes everyone back down. We have taken really good people and really good ideas and just ground them into dust. Just like, that's it. I've been reading all on LinkedIn. There are so many toxic posts about toxic employees and toxic teachers. Guess what? Give me your toxic. Give me your tired. Give me your poor. I will help you. Because the toxic teacher is the one who has the courage to stand up and say, this is whack. This is crazy. What are we doing? Now, there are bad teachers. I'm going to say that. But what I'm going to say is that they're not really bad. They just don't know what they're doing. Okay? But they can learn. They can learn. Just like every kid can learn. I had to fight for 20 years because I had a lot of staff that were not just, because I believed in my staff was like the New York Yankees, okay? And so when I was a superintendent and a principal, I was during the era that the New York Yankees won every single year, okay? So even though I am a Mets fan, okay, and I got from a bodega in Queens, this is what the Mets stands for. My entire team sucks, okay? So I got that, but I am a Mets fan. But no one can deny in this area that the New York Yankees are champions. Why? Because they had a team. At the time, Derek Jeter was the new guy. He was the rookie. But on that team was Don Mattingly, okay? The all-star, the perennial baseball player. In fact, his nickname is Mr. Baseball. You have to combine novice with experienced, and then in between. You can't have a staff that's all novice. You can't have an entire staff that's all experienced. You can't have that. You also can't have every one of your teachers be female. You can't have every one of your teachers be white. You need a diverse team, because the diversity together is what builds the community. You also should have a school district that represents America, even if your community doesn't really represent the melting pot of America. Now in New Jersey, that's weird, because in New Jersey, every town has everything. I mean, we have everybody from the entire world living in this state. It is the United Nations of the world. Legit. We might have a representative from every nation on earth living in New Jersey. So for me, it was just normal to be like, oh, where are you from? Oh, you're from Haiti. Oh, where are you from? You're from the Dominican Republic. Okay, you're from, one of my really good friends is from Puerto Rico. You know, like, it's just the way it is around here. So when I meet people from other states and they tell me about their growing up experiences and it's very homogenous, I'm like, okay, that wasn't really my experience, and it certainly wasn't my experience when I went to college. So we have to understand that we all are in this together. Every one of us. Every one of your ideas is good, but we need to make a platform. Just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's going to do anything. I have more ideas than anyone that I've ever met, and maybe I have more ideas than anyone you've ever met. But my ideas don't matter unless there's a platform to make them real. It's the same thing if you are trying. So here's the last piece. So first of all, I have a cause. There's two causes. One, you need to sign the petition for Teachers for Good Trouble. You have to. If you haven't done it, do so. I've done it. Go for teachersforgoodtrouble.org and sign the petition. Second, if you want to start getting involved in actually creating a teacher community for educators, go to leafacademy.org/mission. leafacademy.org/mission. Give it one more time. leafacademy.org/mission. The reason is because I need to hear from you. Do you have an idea? Are you a creator? Do you have an idea that you want to get done? This is how you can do side hustle stuff. I want to help you make money. I don't think that we can increase teacher salaries much more than what they are. I think we can get a national bottom, like a minimum salary for teachers across the states. But other than on the top end, I don't know how much. Because remember, it's public tax dollars. But teachers know things that other people don't. What if teachers in America all were considered experts, and you could then monetize your expertise for the rest of this country? If we could monetize teachers' talents to the 300 million people in this country, you would make the other money on the side hustle. Now, what I want to do is create a community that's asynchronous. So all you do is create a video module, we put it up on the site, and you will make the side hustle without having to do any other work. And you can focus then on just being a great teacher. Teachers deserve more money than they get paid. That is a fact. But you're never going to get paid what you're worth, because teachers are probably worth $1 million. But you're not going to get paid $1 million. We need to get over that. What we need is a salary, and we need benefits. We need to know that your retirement is taken care of, because if you dedicate your life to kids, you need to make sure that when you're done with your career, you don't have to worry about money. Everything is taken care of for you. The bigger piece is that it's expensive to live, especially in New Jersey. So even with teacher salaries being what they are, and they are higher than most other states, it's still not enough. It's still not enough. Unless you're making over $100,000 in New Jersey, it's not enough. So at some point, we've broken the scale. So no matter what we pay teachers in New Jersey, it's never going to be enough. And the more you pay teachers, the more taxes go up. And it's just so then you can't meet that new threshold. What we need to do is we need to lower taxes so that you can actually live, and we need to find another way to get supplemental income to you without you grinding it out, without hustling. And so that's what I'm trying to do. That's the other big idea. So that's 3 big ideas just in this one episode. I'm telling you, I have more big ideas than you have any idea. But I need the grinders. Who wants to help me build this so that teachers can make $50,000 to $100,000 in side hustle money, and be able to focus on their job? Because if you're making, let's say you're making 60 and you get 50 on the side hustle, you're over 100. And if taxes are lower, now you can actually live. Now you can actually live and be happy and pursue your dream. So hopefully, I appreciate all of my followers. Thank you so much. I've tried to reach out to each and every one of you. So if I haven't, please send me a DM and say hello, and so I can respond. So just send me a DM. If you're watching this, send me a DM, say hello, I will respond. I thank you so much, and please have a great rest of your week.